Well, the last major frost was a month ago, and it's 80 degrees today. So let's walk around the garden, see what made it, see what didn't. This here is a white Mexican cream guava. It's still alive. I'm gonna have to cut it back. This here is what used to be a papaya tree. I don't think that's coming back. All the citrus took a pretty big hit. Some worse than others. But most of them, if you can see that, are starting to leaf out again. It's going to be time to fertilize. I have my doubts about that grapefruit coming back. We'll see. Stuff like this Sambo lemon, definitely going to make it. Strawberries did not care. They're getting ready to do their thing. If you saw my turmeric harvest video, this was one of the 2 beds I harvested. Planted garlic about 2 days after that video. Same thing over here. There's a couple of purple cayennes in the foreground. I don't know if they're going to come back or not. There's a cowhorn pepper on the far side of that bed. That may also come back. Looks like these blackberries are starting to bud out a little bit. Focus, damn it. I had some peas growing up the fence. They froze. Got some potatoes in those buckets. They're looking good. This bed is probably new since my last video. These are red potatoes from the store. Starting to come up. And this bed is filled with leaf mold from the leaves I raked up last spring and let them sit all year. This is one of my pear trees. It doesn't have any leaves yet, but it's got a lot of fruiting spurs. This is another pear tree that got attacked with fire blight last year, so I went ahead and cut it off about 3 feet tall. It put out maybe six or seven good new branches. I'm going to shape that into a lollipop shape. Should be about 6 or 8 feet tall when it's done. The Australian finger lime took it pretty hard. Probably going to have to cut a lot of that growth back. And the kumquat not looking so good, but it'll be back. I must have gotten a good 60 fruit off of that last year. This is the ever-bearing dwarf mulberry tree. Last year at this time it was a 3-inch tall plug from Baker Creek. This tree has grown 4 foot in a year. It lost all its leaves during the frost, but as you can see, it's coming back with a vengeance. I'll probably be eating mulberries in another month or 2. I finished cleaning up my pineapple garden from the last video. This here's my pink guava tree, which I was so proud of last year. It's still alive, but it's going to need to be cut back pretty hard. And it got a nice split in the bark during the second freeze, but it seems to be doing okay. These are all mulberry cuttings from last year. They were all stuffed into one pot. I just split them apart about 2 months ago. They're looking good. I'll be giving away some trees this year for sure. Got the asparagus bed, which is still pretty dormant. This was my cold frame during the frosts. I got one bean plant in the middle that survived. There's 3 separate ginger plants in there. Got some cilantro back there, some marjoram down here, and some thyme up in that corner. I think we're going to be okay. Just waiting for the soil to heat up. These were 2 yellow cayennes. Did not make it. They may still be alive under there, but I'm going to start over. These are the pineapples that were undercover and did pretty well during all 3 freezes. Another cayenne plant, not so good. This is my Buddha hand citron. You can barely see it, it just looks like a stick. I'm pretty sure that'll come back. And this is a variegated lemon, which is kind of a difficult plant to grow for some reason, but it's still holding on. If you saw my giant habanero plant after the hurricane video, that didn't handle the cold too well. We got another pot with some dormant ginger, and then all these 1-gallon pots here. These are ginger plants that I propagated off of last year's harvest. Of course, they haven't come up yet, but when they do, well, there's some more over there. There's 20 of them total. And we've got a little bit of cilantro hanging on in this pot. I'm going to plant something else in there, maybe some basil. 1 papaya still hanging in there. My coffee plants got pretty beat up, even though they were in the cold frame. But dragon fruits, looking good. I'm going to propagate these probably sometime this month. Make myself another half-dozen plants or so. And these are ones, focus. These are ones that I started in the spring from a couple dragon fruits that I got at the organic market. They're a purple flesh variety. I may have a few extra of those to sell or give away, it looks like. Catnip is still holding on. I'm going to reseed that pot. This bed here is 5 foot by 10 foot, and I planted about 30 pieces of turmeric in there, maybe more, maybe 40. Enough that I won't need to buy turmeric for the rest of my life. And I'll be trying to propagate that and hopefully sell or trade or do something with it. But the real reason I brought you guys out here, well, hang on a minute. These are 2nd-year onions. I harvested them last year. They started to go bad on the counter, so I planted them. And I'm expecting to collect the seeds after they flower. And this is some dill that seeded itself from last year's plants. There's one massive one in there. There's another one down in here. But this is what I brought you out for. This is one of my banana plants. Looks terrible. If you look real close, right here, you can see it's putting up a pup. So the corm is still alive underground. So that plant will continue. Cayenne peppers that didn't make it. ghost peppers that are dormant. This was my favorite plant. This plant's made it through a hurricane and 3 tropical storms, and it's about 2.5 years old. It'll come back. The one next to it has also been through all that same stuff, and if you look, it is just kicking up some new growth. So we're going to be good. Here's a clump of the dwarf Cavendish. You can see the main plants died, but we got 3 pups coming up, which is amazing. And then here's another red banana like that first one. And right down here, it's got a pup coming up. So it looks like all those guys are going to survive. Let's take a quick walk out to the mangoes. Talk about gardening. I spend more money trying to grow my own food than I would spend if I just went to the store and bought organic produce. I don't do this for the cost savings though. I do this because I like to see what happens. You know, these plants were frozen and many of them survived. Several of them didn't. I lost almost every papaya that I planted. But there's just something about, you know, watching life try to succeed and renew itself. You know, these guys were just starting to flower. Focus. Just starting to flower before the cold came. And I lost every single flower tip. And I'm really not even sure if these trees are still alive. They don't feel crispy. I guess we're just going to have to see. They were super healthy prior to the freeze, and I had been tipping them regularly. If they'd have made it, I would have gotten a pretty decent harvest, I believe. But, you know, we'll find out. Thanks for watching. As always, if you hated this video, be sure to click the thumbs down and unsubscribe. Leave me nasty messages. And don't send me any money. Thanks.